Hey, instead of kick it, you should say,
Na 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 na.
Yeah. Just shake the rim.
How about we just kick it?
Kick it.
Are we going?
Oh, we've been going. Welcome to Hardheaded, episode something or other.
Yes.
I've got with me today Troy, 3-shot Trussell, Chet, City Boy Sears, and as always with you, Matt, Country Boy.
Country boys
Amos.
can't survive when they're 5 miles from a Walmart.
Hey, we'll have to save that for later because I'm just complaining about your board that's behind us. So just to kick things off, if anybody can read that little whiteboard back there, it does say not. He just scribbled it out into really, really small letters. But anyway, that's where we're at. And we're starting today with Troy. What's on your mind?
What is on my mind? Well, it's been in the news a few weeks, maybe months, but it's really just I've been researching it lately because I'm a huge Star Wars fan. Okay, and I follow some YouTube channels around Star Wars, and I'm a huge nerd when it comes to that stuff. And recently, someone was fired because of their views and such that they were posting out on Twitter. And so it's part of the cancel culture that's going on. And the actress I'm talking about is Gina Carano, I believe is how you pronounce her name. She plays Cara Dune in the Mandalorian series, and she was recently fired because of her views on just in life, and she's conservative, and so
it ultimately, like, the last straw was a meme about Nazis or something.
Yeah, so she posted a meme, and it was a Jewish person running away from a Nazi way back when, and her stance, or what she was trying to invoke people, was to think. Yeah. And what she was saying was kind of the cancel culture that we have going on is kind of like, so the Nazis didn't have to go, well,
they got their neighbors to turn on the Jews,
right?
Basically. Yeah. So people were turning each other in, and
exactly.
She's like, "Hey, let's quit ratting people out."
Yeah, quit turning on your neighbors and ratting them out so they get in trouble, basically. And so she got a backlashing for it from the leftists.
Yeah.
And so she's posted some other things that really just get people to think about their views on certain situations. And of course, there are people out there that just take them and run with them the completely wrong way and the wrong meaning that she had behind the post in general.
Right.
So, and I just feel like the way that it was handled through Lucasfilm, and I've loved Star Wars my whole life, and so, when I hear a company that I support and watch their movies and that kind of thing do this to one of their people.
So I'm going to translate his definition of loved whole life and support. There's a fan club membership involved, Matt.
There was.
Okay, like legit fan club.
Very well.
Got
all
weekly
right.
Newsletters. But I'm with you, man. Well, rule number 1, and this may be top, a future top 3 rules to live by. One of those would be never compare anything to Nazis. It never goes anywhere good.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, that's just something you just don't do. I don't mind talking about the real Nazis and all that kind of stuff and saying how bad they were and all this, but let's just use other examples when we're going to try to pick an example of modern society. And you're thinking about that, Matt?
Yeah, I don't see a problem with it.
I'm just saying don't do it. Like,
well, I don't know.
I would say if you're going to do it, come out and say what you're going to say, because I think that was where she messed up. didn't come out and say she wanted people to think about it and kind of make their own
the
views.
meme culture is not to say what you want to say. Let the meme
say what
work.
it says.
Yeah. So I'm not gonna blame everybody for that, but at the same time, it's just like using an overused cliche. Just don't do the Nazi thing. But I'm with you, and I think Bill Burr came out because he starred in one of the Mandalorian episodes, and
he
he's
came
like,
out.
This is dumb. You know, she's a great person, and we shouldn't be doing stuff like this. And I wholeheartedly agree. I think we ought to be able to let people have their own views. Whether or not I agree with them is my issue and not anybody else's to live around when their opinions of political persuasion. If we want to talk about behaviors that impact other people's livelihoods and lives, then maybe I have a different opinion. But if you want to hold an opinion that is just an opinion, go for it.
Yeah. Even Bill Maher got behind her and he made a few jokes about it, but he was
this is dumb.
Kind of on the side of we shouldn't be canceling people because of this.
And as a person that is conservative, there's been many a year where the conservatives are trying to shut down people. I mean, we can't avoid talking about that.
Oh, yeah.
And it seems like that coin has flipped now, that there's the people on the other side of the coin are the ones trying to shut down speech and behavior. And I'm not okay with it. Wasn't okay with it back when. Not okay with it now.
Yeah, I'm not either.
Thank you for your input, Matt.
You're welcome. It's funny because I got a lot I could say about that. I don't know if we have enough time.
If you only had a medium that people could use to say things.
Well, I know that we're always kept to kind of a time crunch, but along with the cancel culture deal, I mean, just in the last week, what are we canceling this week? We've canceled Mr. Potato Head. We've canceled Dr. Seuss, or we're attempting to cancel Dr. Seuss. And I've got friends on both sides of the coin that are upset about that. They're like, you guys are literally destroying the Democratic Party with all this cancel culture stuff, and I'm like, well, good, and I was like, because the Republican Party right now is kind of in shambles and the Democratic Party's in shambles. And so maybe now is a time where we can get some good solid leaders that actually represent the people and not represent ideas, but they represent actual people with ideas.
I hope. I don't see that happening, but because
where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah,
I did see, it was funny when you're talking about memes, because I did see one today and it says, name one time in history where people banning books were on the right side. And I was like, perfect. Yes. Because what are we doing? We're denying that something actually exists. I mean, you're just going to make believe that it's not there.
Yeah, 100% agree with you. But at the same time, I haven't seen anybody change the way that they vote. It seems like that when people still get in the voting booth, it's like, oh, I recognize that name, I'm going to reelect them. So, that the people being upset with it and people being different, like what's going to happen in Texas with all the people from California moving there? Are all the people from California going to turn into these Texas behaving people, or are they going to turn Texas into a California legislative body? My opinion is
it's going to be
Texas is going to lose.
Little California.
Yeah, because people, they're running away from what they voted for, but they're going to vote from what they've always voted for,
Or I guess land size wise, big California would be Texas because it's bigger than California.
Yeah.
Either way, whatever. Because I know we got a buddy up in Montana that calls some of the cities up there little California, and he just doesn't go there.
Yeah.
So there are little Californians everywhere.
They're running away from the state, but I don't think they're changing their behavior or their political views.
They're like, oh man, this place sucks. Let's go somewhere else and do the exact same thing because
that's great.
That makes sense, right?
Well, they must already be here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we have issues in Kansas with government handouts to a specific industry that, we can go the wrong way at any given time because incentives and subsidies and.
Oh, are we talking about a certain thing that blows?
No,
sometimes?
I'm not.
Oh, I'm talking about wind because that stuff's whatever. We'll save that.
Yeah.
We'll save that for what's on my mind.
As long as you don't
I think we should
break it.
So one more thing, I'm still just really pissed off at Lucasfilm. if you're going to fire somebody, grab some cojones and just fire them. She found out through her Twitter feed that she was fired.
Yeah.
Through her own Twitter feed.
That's not even professional. Like
no,
that's
it's not.
That's cheap. Yeah, I don't have any good words to say about that.
Yeah.
Effective communication and finding out something through Twitter is not a good way. It's like this day and age, like if you had an office job, you would literally be walking into the break room and being like, "Hey man, I'm sorry to hear about what happened." And you're like, "What? No, you got fired."
I saw on the social medias that you got fired.
Didn't that happen on The Office?
The HR guy was in your office boxing everything up. You're like, "Wow, I just went to the bathroom."
Oh man.
Yeah, that's low Lucasfilm. You guys stink for that.
Yeah.
Whoever that person is should be brought into an office and fired. Whoever is responsible for letting that get out.
Apparently it's Kathleen Kennedy. And
See ya,
she's
Kathleen.
not on the docket yet to get fired. So, but we'll see.
We'll keep checking the Twitter feed.
That's right. Keep checking your Twitter feeds, folks.
I'll just tweet it out and make it reality.
Hashtag.
Ooh.
There was a hashtag fire Kathleen Kennedy.
No. Did you hear that Kathleen Kennedy got fired?
Oh.
You automatically jump to it and then it becomes fact,
Yeah.
right? It doesn't matter if it's true or not.
It's the Twitter
because
mob. The Twitter mob rules the world right now.
That's
we
right.
can put it out there and just make it true.
Yeah. Just like Rocket Mortgages, or it could be the next GameStop. You hear about that?
No.
Stocks? No? Okay. We won't go there.
Yeah, you lost me on that.
I've not been paying attention to the stocks because they've been tanking over the last week. So
Yeah, it's been bad.
now's your time to buy, I think.
Yep.
Hopefully it comes back.
Our attorneys just told us to don't take any advice from us on past stock performance. You're, trade at your own risk. Matt does not know everything.
My top one's still performing very well, but I have lost a little bit on a couple of them.
You haven't lost anything till you sell it.
I'm still losing.
You haven't made anything
My
till you
money's
sell
in
it
there.
either.
My money's in there.
Yeah. Keep thinking that. Hey, I think it's time to go to a commercial break to talk about our sponsor, Admiral's Pennant. That's the wrong music.
That was perfect.
Perfection.
This is exactly what we want.
We would like you to go over to admiralspennant.com and purchase your bearded loved one in your family some wonderful beard oil that I've been using since Admiral's Pennant was founded
2015.
in 2015. 6 years of beard oil. I still have all my bottles that I keep. I don't know why I can't throw one away, but
They look good.
yeah, they're
good decorations.
after a while,
Well, you start getting that oil on the side.
you get the oil on the side, then next thing you know, it just doesn't look as good. But I still hadn't thrown it away yet. Couple of my favorites, 1843, 1815 is the one I wear the most. And then there's a 1700s one that I really like too.
1783.
1783.
Cedar, sandalwood, and tea tree.
That's the one.
It's good stuff.
So I actually got Admiral's Pennant beard oil for Christmas, a Christmas present this year.
That's a good gift.
It is. And so if you're not bearded, you should be gifting them. If you're bearded, get it for your beard.
I agree.
Your life will be better.
Gift away, admiralspennant.com.
And we are on our top 3 today, which is top 3 shotguns.
Hey, that's awesome.
You like that?
That's
We could have
hilarious.
downloaded something here, but no.
That was perfect.
Acapella is better.
All right, who's going first?
I'll go first because
I'll go second.
y'all probably know a lot more about shotguns than I do. But
Actually-
I know how to shoot them really well 3 times in a row, baby.
That's right. 3
You've had a lot
shots.
you've had a lot more practice than we have.
Yes.
You've been out fewer
that's
times,
true.
but you've had more practice.
Very true. All right, so number 3 on my list is the Mossberg 935
Okay.
because I've had it and shot many ducks, many pheasant. Well, I wouldn't say many pheasant. Few pheasant. Few dead pheasant on the way down.
3 times.
Chet.
Yeah. Dead or alive.
Dead or alive.
If it's in the air, it's going to
getting
get
shot at 3 times. But yeah, the Mossberg is a semi-automatic, and my dad got it for me. Well, he got us both guns 1 year.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about the one I got.
Nice.
It was not the Mossberg 935.
Yeah. So anyway, it's been a good gun. It's had a few issues. It shoots 3-inch and 3.5-inch only, not 2 3/4. And if you shoot 2 3/4, it won't eject the shell. So you have to. Then it becomes a
Single shot.
yeah.
And then Troy's not as effective.
It becomes more like a
shot.
pump. More like a pump.
Pretty much. So yeah, great gun. Have enjoyed it. Still use it. So then number 2 is just a good over-under shotgun because they can be used for many things.
Any over-under?
Yeah, because I don't own an over-under. I always borrow yours.
Yeah.
And I have one actually in my closet that my father-in-law let me borrow. It's called the Double Defense. It's like a sawed-off over-under, tactical.
A shorter barrel that's still 18.5 inches. But yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, and it's got like a flashlight on the end. And
No
it's
way.
Like
Is it side-by-side? It's over-under?
It's an over-under.
No way.
Yeah.
I need to see that next time I come over.
Double defense on it.
Yeah.
So don't come breaking into my house because I'm going to shoot you with that three times.
Probably missed with 2, but.
And then the number 1.
While we're talking about that.
Yeah. What's up?
I do have a legendary story of shooting 3 shots, killing 4 quail out of a covey of quail with a single break action 20 gauge. Epic. So I believe you on your 3 shots out of a double barrel.
Yeah, I can load that fast.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So then number 1, the Remington model 870, preferably made for a left-hander, so the shells don't eject across my face. Which I don't have that either, but it's on my wish list. So because I'm looking to replace the Mossberg.
I got you, man.
So
I am a fan of the 870.
yeah,
We'll talk more about that later.
I bet we will.
Foreshadowing.
That's right. Matt, what you got?
Actually, I think Chet should go next.
Okay.
Really? Because you're going to see what mine. I'll start with number 3, the Winchester Model 12. Anybody familiar with that one?
Yes.
A pump gun designed by John Browning. Well, actually, they had a dude modified the a Browning design, a hammered pump shotgun, and made it hammerless. T.C. Johnson was his name. But 1912 is when that gun came out, hence the Model 12. And I've got one. I love it. I inherited it from my mom's dad. It's in 16 gauge, which is pretty sweet. And it's served in World War I, World War II, Korean War, and the Vietnam War. So it was a service weapon for all of those, bought by the U.S. government. And they're over 2 million sold. A lot of them out there. Still pick them up at pawn shops. It's a great workhorse of a pump shotgun. Number 2, the Ithaca Model 37. Another pump gun, another gun that I own in 16 gauge that I got from my dad's dad, which is pretty sweet. I got those backwards. My dad's dad was a Model 12. My mom's dad was Ithaca 37. The also John Browning design that ended up being modified. It was actually based off of a Remington pump shotgun that had some patents expire, so Ithaca picked it up. Great. This is a gun. I have a featherweight model, and you can carry that thing all day. It's really light. It packs a little bit of a kick, but it's awesome, and it ejects out the bottom. And
so right-hander and left-hander.
Yeah, but the safety and some of the controls are for right hand. I don't know if you can swap those out or not. But
always
it's friendly. It's a friendly gun to have in the blind because it does throw the shells out the bottom. You don't have to worry about who's to your left or right for that. Another gun that's had about 2 million sold, and my number 1 is the Remington 870. I have actually my son is the one using the one that your dad got me. He uses it on the for his trap team. He shoots trap for the high school. He loves it, and heck, I love that gun. I've been under the water. I actually froze it one time.
Yes.
It was 16 degrees, and I took a swim on a duck hunt, and I had to put that thing up in the sunlight, and so it would start thawing out. My buddy Davin was actually letting me. We'd share his shotgun, so a group of ducks come in, and I'd shoot with his gun, then he'd get it back, and then the next group of ducks come in, he'd get shots at that, and then by the time the trigger mechanism thawed out from sunlight, then that 870 was back working. Same hunt.
How many ducks did y'all bag that day?
Quite a bit.
Nice.
Yeah, that was back when the lake, when we had the drought, and the lake was, you could just see the bank from the water's edge to the trees was like 200 yards, and we were out in the water, and ducks were everywhere.
That's awesome.
Was that Cheney Lake?
Yeah,
When it was way down?
yeah,
So we're talking maybe 8 years ago, 9 years ago.
yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was a good day. It was cold though. Don't wear cotton when you duck hunt. Just so you know. But anyway, all of these guns actually have been in the military. The 870 was actually released in 1950, so it's the newer of all the models that I've talked about. And there's a bunch of people that designed it, and it is the most manufactured shotgun ever. And they've sold over 11 million of them, and it's still in production. So the Ithaca, the Model 12 went out decades ago. The Ithaca Model 37 has been up and down. Ithaca's, the company itself, has had problems changing hands and whatnot, but it's still in production today, but they're pretty expensive. And then the 870, man, that thing, Big Green's still running those out, even though they've round 2 on bankruptcy. Fine shotgun. If that's the one, people ask, if I need to get a gun, if they don't have a gun, just go get a Remington 870. If you need it for self-defense, that's self-defense. If you want to duck hunt, if you want to shoot sporting clays, if you need an all-around gun that does just about everything that you need, then Remington 870. A lot of deer hunters up north, when you can't hunt with a rifle, use it as a slug gun. You can get slug barrels for them. I mean, it's just a great gun.
Well, there are a lot of options. Are you done?
I'll be right back. I'm going to go get my Remington 870.
Well, the only reason I ask if you're done is because number 3 on my list is the Remington 870. So
Okay.
I'll start at the bottom, work to the top.
Yeah.
But I do agree that it's awesome shotgun. It was the very first shotgun that I owned. My family, like I said before, my family didn't hunt or anything like that, and so I saved up all my pennies, all my birthday money, all my Christmas money, and the first shotgun that I bought was a Remington 870 Express Magnum.
And you still have it?
I still have it.
That's awesome.
And and now, and I bought it back in the day because I wanted to get into deer hunting, but I didn't have enough money to buy a deer rifle, and so I was like, well, shoot, that slug barrel for it, was, I think at the time, maybe $150 maybe.
Yeah.
If that, and bolt that thing right on. It's got the sights on it and just go to town. And, now they've got, different stocks that you can put on it for, for adjustable stocks, for making it shorter, longer, making it all, tack it out to be a home defense gun, or switch the barrels out and go out and shoot ducks or quail or doves or whatever you want. And I dunked mine as well on a duck hunt. I was too lazy to go around the boat to grab something, and so instead of going around the boat, I leaned over the edge and my shotgun went bloop right down to the bottom. And when you're wearing waders and you're in 4 feet of water, when you're trying to
fish a gun off the bottom.
Well, yeah, when you're trying to bend over and then you get water in your waders, it just turns into a bad day. But
real quick,
pulled that thing out, and then of course that mud from the bottom of that pool wherever we were at, it was in Missouri somewhere, and it marred up the stock, and the stock is all messed up now, but no pitting or anything like that, but it gave it a nice little, I'll call it a patina, on the stock and the foregrip, but definitely a very solid, well made, almost indestructible shotgun.
And not that expensive.
Yeah. I mean, they're still not that expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they're up to $300 now. And when I bought mine, I think they were $150, something like that. But, no, great gun. So that's why I kind of wanted to cut you off so I could at least get mine.
You could just join the conversation.
No, No, that would be too much of an agreement with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
The second one on my list,
Although whenever we go back and shoot sporting clays again, 870s.
870s, we can do that.
Yeah.
He just cut you off, by the way.
He did. Whatever.
I joined the conversation.
I'm used to it.
I joined the conversation.
That's how he politely joins a conversation.
Apparently.
Excuse me. No.
Hey, I was just going to interrupt you again.
Were you? Can I give you a... Never mind.
Yeah, turn the mic down.
Yeah, I'm going to turn your mic down.
There's a mute button.
I see it. It's tempting me. Number 2 on my list is going to be the Browning Maxus. It's a newer shotgun. Came out 8 or 9 years ago. I bought it on its first run, and same kind of thing with the Remington. It's a really smooth shooting gun. It hits a lot less than that 870. As I started to get nicer shotguns in my collection, I noticed just how hard that 870 does hit.
Dude, it can. You got mine's a 3.5 inch chamber, and it hurts.
It punches. It packs a punch. And when you start talking about semi-automatic shotguns and they have the gas system, because it kind of dissipates some of that recoil a little bit. Whereas on that pump, I mean, you're taking the full force. But the Browning Maxus, I've killed a lot of stuff with that. I've been stopped by the game warden for hunting unplugged. You were with me on that one. That was my Maxus when I was hunting with that.
That's a great story too, by the way.
So we were,
I love it.
Chet and I were up dove hunting, and I'd been out doing a pheasant hunt the week before. And so on this pheasant hunt, it was released birds, and you didn't have to use a choke or a plug. And so I had my plug in the gun, and I was like, well, I'm having to reload this thing too much. And so I wanted to put, all the rounds in the tube and be able to shoot without having to stop as often. And so I took my plug out and I put it in the visor or my sunglass holder in my truck. So I was like, I'm not going to lose it there, and closed it up. And then kind of a spur of the moment, wasn't really planned, went dove hunting, and we're out there in the field and shooting, Chet's son Stone had shot one bird, I think is what we'd had at the time. And here comes the game warden, I'm like, whatever, I've checked all the time, no problem. I was like, I don't even have a shotgun without a plug in it, because I just leave them all in there. And he came up and he's checking everybody's guns, and I take out, because I only had 1 round in the tube or 1 round in the chamber and 2 in the tube. And so I eject the rounds, I hand him my 3 shells, and then he takes those 3 shells and goes, shoo, shoo, shoo. He's like, I'm like, well,
hey.
I'm like, that wasn't supposed to happen. He goes, no, it wasn't. And so he's like, do you have a plug for this thing? And I was like,
thought it was in there.
I thought it was in there, but apparently it's not. And I was like, I was hunting, last week on a private deal on a pheasant hunt, and I took it out so I could get more rounds in.
For those of you who don't know, migratory birds have a federal regulation where you're only allowed to have 3 shots in your shotgun. So the plug that Matt's talking about goes in the shotgun magazine to prevent more than 2 rounds going into the magazine of the gun. So you have 1 in the chamber, 2 in there. So those of you that may not know what we're talking about right now, legally you're only allowed to have it where 2 shells could go in the magazine.
Yeah, if that wasn't the case, that'd probably be 6 shot.
So anyway, he's like, well, I'm going to go check these other guys in the field and then I'll be back. And so I was like, well,
no, he didn't.
That's what he said.
Well, he said, I don't have my ticket book with me. We're going to have to walk back and get it.
Oh yeah. So, well, okay.
Because one of the best lines that when I tell the story, this is the thing that cracks me up. The parking area for this field that we were hunting was half mile from the field that we can hunt. But the difference, it was like there was a road to the field that you can hunt, and they just had a sign a half mile up that says no vehicles beyond this point. But there's a road. So I was like, man, we got stools, we got bags, we got all this stuff. And, look, I'm driving back. I'm going to drop you, Matt, off. I'm going to drop Stone off. You guys get set up, and then I'll go park the truck. So we did that. Like, went out, dropped everything off, and drove back. Well, when the game warden is out there. He's like, hey, we're gonna have to walk back to the truck at the parking area to get my ticket book. And he looked at Matt and he's like, can you make it to the truck? And Matt's like, I got out here, didn't I? I mean, he was upset. He's like, I got out here, didn't I? and then the walk back, his heart started to soften because it was a straight up, I'm writing you a ticket. Well, let's go get my ticket book.
Yeah, so we went, well, no, because he came back. He's like, I'm going to go check all these other guys, and then I'm going to come back. And so he came back, and by that time, I'd shoved like a corn stalk up in the tube to where you couldn't jam another round in there. So you couldn't jam the third round in there. But so he picked it up, and he goes, ooh, that's a little squishy. That's a little squishy. And I was like, man, whatever. If you're going to give me a ticket, just give me a ticket. So he's like, all right, well,
here, didn't I?
He's like, well, we need to walk back to my truck. And so I was like, all right. And so I make it look as difficult as I possibly can. Like I'm picking up my bucket and my shotgun and everything else. And I'm trudging along. And I mean, we get 200 yards into that. And he's like, he looks over at me and he's like, do you want me to carry some of that? And I was like, no, I'm good. But he just starts taking, like, now I've got the game warden carrying my shotgun. He's carrying my bucket and I'm just walking. I'm like, this is all right.
That's awesome.
And then we get to the truck and he goes, he basically wrote me a warning. You know, he was a nice guy.
I lost. You still have that picture? I took a picture. I'm like over there, taking pictures of Matt and the game warden with the ticket book out.
So the game warden's got the ticket book. I'm leading on the side of the truck. And you sent me that picture. I turned it into a meme and it kind of goes along with that Dos Equis, or is it the Dos Equis guy?
Yeah. I don't always. Yeah.
But when I do.
Yeah. So I don't always, go shotgunning, but when I do, it's unplugged.
Yeah.
And so that was my little meme for that. But so that was kind of fun. But that was my Browning Maxus.
The Browning Maxus, is that when you're tied for third big trophy over here too?
No, that's the next gun that I'm going to get to. But that's not a tied for third. That's a
best office shooter of all time, lifetime award.
That is my lifetime award. What do you?
Let me borrow his pen.
All right, you borrow that pen. So the number one shotgun on my list is probably the most recent shotgun I bought, and it is a Beretta A400 XL black gold edition. And this gun was designed by Michelangelo back in 1492. And
it's awesome.
Yeah.
Hence the XL.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. You had all the names of all the people that designed your gun, so I just figured I'd make it sound good. I don't know if Michelangelo, but I mean, it is a work of art.
I think it's pretty awesome. Like the guy, John Browning and the firearm
basically
industry.
The king of all firearms.
Yeah. And you mentioned Browning, a Browning branded shotgun, and John Browning founded that organization. Mm-hmm. I mentioned two different manufacturers with guns that were designed primarily by John Browning. Like the guy is a firearms genius. That's why I want to bring that up. It's phenomenal.
No, I get that, but I just wanted to
bring
a little bit of levity to the situation, right?
Yeah. I know how to use Google.
So the Beretta A400 XL. So if you go to the store and look at it, I mean, it's the ugliest gun that you'll possibly ever look at. It's got a blue receiver, and basically just looks like a big old toy. Yeah. But one of the places here in town that I get guns from, they had a custom edition that was done for them. It's called the Black Gold Edition, and it's all black and silver. So that receiver is now black and silver, and it looks awesome. And the buttstock actually has a kickstop on it, so when you're shooting, you don't even really feel that recoil at all. It absorbs basically all of that recoil.
A lot of sporting clay shooters, and trap shooters,
and that's what I bought it for, was sporting clays and trap, specifically to do that with. And it's been a phenomenal gun. I've had no problems with it, other than the first time that I took it out. Well, I want to say the second time I took it out, it was another guy that went out with me, and he was driving the golf cart at the sporting clays range, and he turned the corner too quick and dumped my brand new shotgun out and scratched it all up. But she still runs. I ended up, I've won a...
Here we go.
I've won a trophy. And I've won I actually won a timeshare in Colorado with it. And I won basically all the prizes, because it was actually Steve and I that got brought in to do this charity shotgun shoot. Mm-hmm. And I believe that they think that the pastor brought in just straight up ringers to win this whole thing, and which wasn't the case at all. He just invited us out, and we said, sure, we'd love to come and support your
organization and win all the prizes.
Yeah, your ministry. And so we get out there, and Steve wins the Longbird competition, which was like I mean, that clay had to be out there 100 yards or something like that, and trying to shoot that. Steve smoked that. I won the wobble stand, and then overall we were best team, and we had 2 guys that had never even shot clays before.
I didn't even bring a gun.
and then
They didn't need it.
We put, because we wanted to support the organization, and so we bought a bunch of raffle tickets, and then we ended up winning almost all the raffle items too. By the end of it, we were loaded up and just like, I don't know if we're going to be invited back, but we have been. But that's been my Beretta experience, and that's just a phenomenal gun, and love it. And it's one I use for pretty much everything, with the exception of ducks, because it doesn't take a 3-inch shell. It's 2 3/4 only.
Yeah. Awesome. A well-rounded top 3 from you, Matt, and is valid because you had the Remington 870 on there.
You got to have the 870 on there.
We all 3 had it.
That's
right on.
That's pretty much everybody I know.
It's a staple.
That's their first gun. Most everybody I know is that 870.
So I'd kind of like to get a 16 gauge 870 because then I'd have all 3 of the best pump guns ever in 16 gauge. That would be pretty sweet.
And you might be able to find ammo a little more easily.
Like a 16 gauge Wingmaster. I don't even know if they make them, but that would be awesome. 870 Wingmaster.
That was a pretty gun too.
You draw my name for Christmas this year. You know what to get.
That sounds like a best.
We have a $50 limit in our family, right?
Yeah.
I think.
Just buy an entry into a sporting clays competition for Matt, and you're guaranteed to win.
There you go.
Pretty much I am pretty awesome. So the one shotgun that I did not put on the list is technically not a shotgun, but is a pistol. And I just came back from Florida.
The judge.
And I got to do a quail hunt for 2 days with a group of warriors. And I don't want to toot my own horn.
Toot, toot.
Never stopped you before.
But we were out there hunting.
How big is the trophy you bought for that?
I haven't made it yet, but it's gonna be big. But the guide was like, it looks like these birds are getting a little bit too easy for you to knock down. He goes,
Yeah.
do you want a little bit more of a challenge? And I said, yeah, I'm always down for a little bit of a challenge. And so he hands me the judge with some 410 shells in it. And for those who don't know, 410 or the judge is basically a 410 or a 45 long Colt pistol revolver. And so I loaded it up, and dogs got on point. They sent the flush dog in. Flush dog got the bird, and I raised up, and I smoked him. And I was like, see, you can't give me something that I can't shoot.
Yeah.
And I was like, and then I just put the gun away. I was like, I'm done.
Right, we're done.
I'm done.
Nothing else to show you guys.
One shot, one kill. I've done it all. Let's save some birds for these other guys that haven't done this before. Because I'm a nice guy.
There you go.
But no, really, really good time, and just goes to proof that I am the ultimate shotgunner bird killer.
Remains to be seen at this table.
Yeah, I'd like to see that demonstrated.
We're gonna have to do a special episode where we go out and do that, and I can prove it to you.
We've been out.
No, we've already gone over
Sandbagging.
Sandbag.
It was a sandbagger.
It was a sandbag, and I wish you guys would acknowledge my sandbag and stop trying to cancel me.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Nice.
good times, good top 3. Like you said, solid all the way around. So moving on to a good word for today, and Chet has the good word.
Good word of the day is hope. I came across an article by David Mathis on the Desiring God website titled "It's Okay to Be Hopeful." And I think his framing of the discussion and the conversation was that, man, there's really not a whole lot going on that is hopeful right now. Pandemic and stocks and gas prices and everything just seems to be going in the wrong direction. But for believers, he kind of got into the hope that's there, and typically when we use the word hope in our vernacular, it's a thin hope. That's how he described it. It's a thin hope. I hope it doesn't rain today. I hope that, my truck starts when it's this cold outside. I hope, this kind of thing. But if you look at
my legs charged when I wake up today.
yeah, and I hope I still have a charger at the desk at work, those kinds of things. But if you go back in Scripture and in Corinthians, the 1 Corinthians chapter 13 is the chapter on love, right? But it ends in verse 13 with faith, hope, and love. And when we talk about love, we know how serious and all encompassing that is. True love. We talk about faith. Our faith that we have is it's grounded and rooted in something that's not thin, if you will, but typically and when we talk about love and we talk about faith, those have a lot of meat, have a lot of weight to it. But really, when we talk about hope these days, it's not that weighted as faith, hope, and love. Like that hope just isn't that. And if you go back through, and he talks about going back and looking through the New Testament, that it's evident that hope was very powerful, and the hope for the future, the hope for what's coming, was extremely powerful. And the two books of the Bible of the New Testament that really speak to doing good things, you get into Titus and then 1 Peter about doing good works for people, actually anchor those good works in our hope. And then so you get to thinking about that, and he does a really good job of breaking this down, and it really spoke to me. If we didn't have hope, then why do anything for anybody? Right? Like if we really felt that the outlook was so bad and that things are not going to be getting better, there's not a good thing that's coming, then what's our motivation? And if you look at the New Testament church and those people in those times and how powerful that hope was, they knew their hope was rooted in Christ, and therefore, like it says in Titus, then go do something. Right. Let's go help people. Let's go show love to people. And I think, I'll just read a little passage out of this, that hope was not flimsy, fleeting, or uncertain. Rather, the apostles of the early church spoke of a well-founded faith with a future orientation. Their hope, rooted in faith, was knowledge of the truth. So something that you can grasp, the knowledge of the truth that was looking forward. And what is remarkable and perhaps regularly overlooked is how powerful, how catalytic, how transformative such a true hope can prove to be. So while we're in this time of thinking there's not much hope, rooted in Scripture, rooted in Christ, we know that there is a future and a good things that are coming ultimately. And in that power, that we have faith in that we know that, then that should shift our attitude to not being one of lackadaisical attitude or not putting in an effort to make society better or to help our fellow man. The hope that we have should spur us on to make things better, to be active, to go do things that are going to have an impact on people's lives. And I think this is a lot, really more from a person-to-person perspective. I'm not talking about, Troy, you should go run for office to give people hope. Yeah. But it's like, who's your neighbor and how can you help that person? And what can you do from being motivated and knowing that there's hope that you can go, okay, well, it is worth spending this extra time with this person. It is worth pulling over on the side of the road to help that person with a flat tire. There's, and those instances provide a catalyst for those people to really have an impact there. And if you think back in Colossians, and this is a pretty popular verse as well, really that's what spurs people on to ask questions. And in chapter 1, verse 4 through 5, it says, "Since we've heard of your faith in Christ Jesus and of the love that you have for the saints, because of the hope laid up for you in heaven, of this you've heard before, the word of the truth is the gospel." So people understand and question you for why do you have hope? Like that should be something that's different in this day and age, in this time. If you have hope and you behave in a way that has hope, people are going to wonder what in the heck, why do you have hope with all this pandemic stuff that's going on? So anyway, that's my good word. You should be hopeful and knowing that good things are going to come for those that believe.
I like it. Should always be ready to share that hope too with others.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right.
I think that that actually kind of goes along a lot with a lot of guys that are suffering from PTSD.
Yeah.
I think that there's a lack of hope.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I get asked that question a lot, you know, do you have PTSD? Do you have any of that? And I was like, no, not really. And, you know, for a while it was tough to answer, like why I don't have that or why I wasn't afflicted in that way. And ultimately I think it comes down to hope, because I know this isn't the end all be all of what's supposed to happen. And how can I use this situation to impact others in a positive way? So,
Yeah.
And I think if more people looked at it that way, that there, I mean, obviously Jesus is the answer, right? So, if we're looking to him, then those issues pretty much solve themselves.
Yeah, and and Troy, the scripture you just referenced in 1 Peter, it says in chapter 3, verse 15, in your hearts honor Christ the Lord as holy, always being prepared to make a defense to anyone who asks you for your reason for the hope that is in you, and do it with gentleness and respect. And that's exactly what you're talking about. People wonder why.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been through something similar to what you've been through, yet you aren't downtrodden. You aren't feeling bad for your situation. You aren't hopeless. You know why? And be prepared to answer for that. And we should all be behaving in a way. And I know you've been through a lot, in a lot of visible ways. You know, people can see some of the difficulty that you've had, and the way that you talk about that has always been a blessing, and your life would be completely different if this wouldn't have happened to you. But Troy and I should be living in a way that people are wondering why we're so hopeful as well. You know,
Because maybe someday you'll be as good of a shotgunner as me.
maybe one day I'll buy myself a trophy as big as yours.
Oh yeah.
I like it. I think that's a great word, and a lot of people can take that and hopefully gain some positivity with that this week.
All right.
As they try to live that out. So
Okay. So if you disagree with us on our top 3, let us know.
Put it in the comments.
Let the world know how you're not right.
yeah, and if you have some shotguns that we didn't mention, for sure, put those in there, because I'm always interested in buying another one.
Yeah, add to Matt's collection. There you go.
There's a few in there. So anyway, who wants to take us out?
I think you're signed up to do
Yeah,
it,
I'm not
but you're
doing
not
it.
going to do it.
I'm not doing it.
All right. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in to another episode of Hardheaded. You're listening.
Brought to you by Admiral's Pennant Beard Oil. Go to admiralspennant.com. Buy yourself a bottle.
If you're listening to us, please leave us a review wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you're watching us on YouTube or Rumble, don't forget to give us a like, a Rumble, and share this video with others.
And subscribe.
Subscribe.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time.
We're not going to see anybody. They'll see us next time.
That's right. You'll hear us too.
You definitely hear Chet.
Am I loud today?
Pop, pop, pop.
Hit that record button.
Oh, man. What?
The red button. Push the big red button.
Is it not done? I thought I hit it.